Hello and welcome to Normally Distributed, where we learn about probability and statistics with a sports twist. Today I am bringing you Calculating and Interpreting Probability Part 4. If you tuned into the other three parts, we've learned about what a probability is, which is a number between 0 and 1 that tells us how likely an event is to occur. We've been able to estimate probabilities with equal outcomes or unequal outcomes, and we learned a little bit about disjoint events. Now today we're going to get started and learn about compound events. Enjoy. What you'll also see a lot in probability is the word and that brings us to the next definition, which is a compound event. And a compound event is an outcome from a chance experiment that are performed in two or more stages. So what this means is that you have one thing occurring and another thing occurring. Let's work through a new example here. Now, a coach, manager in baseball has a lot of hard decisions to make. Most importantly, who is he going to send out to pitch? And who is he going to send out to close the game? Now, what we have here is an example of or a compound event. So the coach can send out player A and player C, or he can send out player A and player D, or he can send out player A and player E. And he has the same options if he chooses to start with player B as well. Player B can go with player C, player B can go with player D, and player B can go with player E. So this gives us the possible outcomes here are A and C, A and D, or A and E. Now if the coach chooses to go with player B, the outcomes are B and C, B and D, or B and E. So again, the key word here is and. And what I want you to think of when you think of and is I want you to think of multiplication. So let's say these guys all have the same probability of playing. That means there are two choices for the starter. That means each one has a 50% chance of being chosen. With the closer though, there are three. So each one has a 1/3 chance of being selected. So what does that mean? What is the probability that player A and C get selected, or player A and D get selected, or player A and E, and so on? Now the probability can be calculated one of two ways. You can write out the outcomes and you can calculate how likely this is to happen. So this is one time that A and C pops up, and we have 6 outcomes, so that's 1/6, and that'll be equal for all of these possible lineups here. Or you can do it another way, and again, think multiplication here. So you can just take 1/2 multiplied by 1/3, and that again gives you 1/6. All right, now let's work through a tough example here. Let's assume that these pitchers all have an equal probability of playing. All right, the starter, you choose from one of 4 starters. You choose from one of 3 relievers, and you choose from one of 2 closers. So if they all have the same probability of starting, let's go ahead and examine what the probability of the lineup player A, player E, and player I. So if you remember from the last slide, that all you need to do is you need to multiply across the different options. Again, when you think and, think multiply. So to start, player A, there are 4 options here, so he has a 1 in 4 chance of getting chosen. The reliever here has a 1 in 3 chance of getting selected, and our closer has a 1 out of 2 chances of getting selected. So in order for us to choose player A, player E, and player I, we just need to multiply 1/4 by 1/3 by 1/2. So 4 times 3 is 12, and 2 is 24. It gives us 1/24. And one good thing to do if you're still practicing here is write out all of our possible outcomes. We know there are going to be 24 outcomes now, but it may be easier for you if you write them all out. That way you can calculate this probability here. One quick thing that you can also do here, what if we wanted to know whether player A or whether the lineup AEI is chosen or the lineup DGI? Now, since all of these have the same probability, the probability that we select lineup DGI is equal to 1 over 24 as well. Now, remember, with OR, we can just add them up. So we end up with 2 over 24, which is equal to 1/12 probability that either lineup AEI or DGI is selected. So we know in life things are not always equal, right? And so a coach will not always have an equal probability of picking his 4 starters, his 3 relievers, and his 2 closers. Usually, what a coach will do is he has his favorites. He will pick who he thinks is going to be the best against a certain team. So let's go ahead and take a look at the probabilities that we have listed here in our probability tree. So we can see that player A has a 50% chance of getting selected. Player B has a 25% chance of getting selected. C has a 12.5 chance of getting selected, as well as player D, and so on and so forth. We have unequal probabilities, but that doesn't make the problem any harder, right? So in order to select, let's go back to AEI. We want to determine the probability that the coach chooses player A, and player E, and player I. So in order to do this, again, we just multiply our probabilities together. 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/4. And this will end up giving us 1 over 16 probability of selecting this specific lineup. Now, is this one better or worse than, let's say, DFH? So with lineup DFH, we have 1/8 times 1/4 times 3/4. And this is going to give us 3 over. So this will give us 4 times 4, 16. 16 times 8, I used a calculator for this, guys, is 128. So we end up with a 3 over 128 chance that the coach will select this lineup. Now, to compare the two, 1 over 16 is roughly 0.0625, and 3 over 128 is 0.0234. So we can see that the coach has a higher likelihood of choosing lineup AEI over lineup DFH. But if what we're interested in is or either of these lineups, that gives us about 0.0859. Ran out of space there for a minute, but I think you guys got it. Gives us about an 8% chance that he chooses this lineup AEI or lineup DFH. Thank you for tuning into Calculating and Interpreting Probabilities Part 4. For some more learning resources as well as some practice problems, please take a look at the website on the screen. If you like this video, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Thank you guys very much, and until next time.